Hi, this is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of the CreditRepairShop.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about medical debt. The reason why I want to make this video about this is that there's going to be, well, number one, a news report on the way to work today that the insurance companies are going to start charging for a portion of what they've not been charging for due to the virus, national emergency for the virus. Um, a lot of people were not aware of it, and they didn't know that the co-pays that dealt with any issues related to the virus that they were actually not charging those, and people were going into the hospital. Some people say that they did get charged. I think what it probably with their insurance, they had one of these crazy plans that you know wasn't really insurance. Um, I get my insurance from the exchange, and it's just like any regular insurance. We don't, because of my income, I don't get the tax credit, but it is cheaper than what we would have went out on the open market. But it's the same. And actually, even with all of the expenses that have went out with the virus, with my wife's surgery that was over $1 million, we still got a rebate back because they have this stipulation for the insurances that are on the exchange. If they don't spend 80% of what they collect on uh, individuals' health care, they can't just put it in their pocket for bonuses. They have to do a rebate for a portion of that to people. And before they came up with the exchanges, if they didn't spend 80%, and you know that they'll try all types of things to not spend spend all of it by denying care, all types of things, they would just put the rest in their pocket for bonuses. Well, other insurance companies can still do it, but any of them that are selling their insurance on the exchange, they can't do that. But it's the same insurance. Like a lot of people think that it's a different insurance. It's not. Same insurance. Some of them that they go through put their plans on there, and then they have their plans where they don't put through there. But the insurance companies are no matter where, across the board, they've started saying, hey, that you're going to be paying the co-pays on there when it comes to stuff that was dealing with the virus. And so that's what's going to happen. So in this video, what I want to talk about are real solutions that I've used in the past, my clients have used, that I've told them about, and things that have just from being in the business, from trying different things that have worked. So the first thing that you should do when you get medical bills, if you have insurance, you're going to have the co-pays. You need to make sure, number one, that none of those co-pays were supposed to be paid by the insurance carrier. Some of the times that can happen. There's examples where, and this happened to us, to where um, my wife went in for a procedure and they used a service that was outside of the hospital. So that service billed, even though it was supposed to be something that was covered because it was the hospital that was actually doing, we didn't know that they were using some outside service. So they have to actually do the billing through that hospital, not directly to us, but they had sent the bill to us and they kept sending it over and over. It was like $190. We were like, this was included in there. They were like, well, we worked as contracted through the hospital, and we were like, it doesn't matter. We didn't sign for you to come contracted and come in there. You came in there on your own, contracted from the hospital. So you deal with them. After going back and forth, they ended up having to get paid through the hospital, not from us. But a lot of people will let that sit. They will not go back and forth. And then all of a sudden, they had this debt collector coming after you for a medical bill. So, step number one, when you have any co-pays, you need to look at what you're being billed for, and you need to make sure if it was something that should have been billed for what was done at the hospital. It does not matter if they call someone in. You did not call them in, so you need to make sure that your insurance will pay for it. The next thing is you need to make sure that the rates are right on there. You need to ask them questions. Why is this amount? It could be for something so minute, something so small, and you're like, I need to negotiate on that amount. I'm not going to pay that amount. That is exactly what insurance companies do. They will tell a hospital, I don't care, you're doing that, but we're not going to pay that amount for it. So you have the same right to do that. You can negotiate, especially if you're seeing a doctor that is in practice for themselves. You can tell them, hey, this I know that that's your rate, but we need to negotiate on that. And they will do it because they want to get paid some money over not getting paid any money. So that's the first part of it, is checking to make sure something maybe should have been paid by the insurance, and then negotiating on your co-pays. Now the next phase is where you just have a huge bill and maybe everything checks out. The co-pays are what they are, or they're not negotiating on them, and you had this big bill, or maybe you didn't even have insurance and you had this big bill. Let me tell you something that happened with one of my clients. Not to say that this is available in every area, but you can contact the hospital and see that they have any organizations. There's usually church organizations that work with the hospitals, and what they do is they will let you write a letter to them, and they will they will consider uh, paying either a portion or all of your hospital bill. For my specific client, he had a bad respiratory problem where he ended up getting put into the hospital for a few days, and it was like $56,000. Came to me, he was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this. And I said, let's just go through this. He didn't even have insurance at that time. And I told him, you got to always have insurance. But we went through it, and I was like, okay, let's look at what we can do. And just by accident, from going back and forth with the hospital, they had they actually had sent the paperwork to that church organization, and they read his situation, and then they paid that whole bill, 100% of the whole bill. I remember when he called me and said the whole thing is paid, and I was like, how did it get paid? And he said this church organization paid it. So I always put that on the list of things that I want people to check out if they have hospital bills. There's sometimes different organizations that work within the hospital where they will pay a portion, or they will even pay all of it. Like, this is just what they do. They're not in there as a business for profit. That this is just something that they do with their organizations. There could be other foundations that might even pay it. So you can do your research to see if there's any foundations that are working with the churches, and you can see what their what uh, relief type efforts that they have for people who just can't pay their medical bills. Then the next one is where you're just actually having to come up with a strategy to pay those medical bills. And this goes into where you're going to negotiate. If you don't have insurance, negotiate, some type of payment plan, negotiate a discount, and negotiate a payment plan that you're willing to work out with them to pay it down. Hospitals are usually very good at doing this, but there's something that you need to watch out for uh, when it comes to that, is that sometimes if it extends out past a certain period of time, they may even choose to take it off their books, even though they're getting payments from you, and shift it to a debt collector. So you need to be upfront with them and know, we need to ask them upfront, if I get into this payment plan, you're not going to convert it over to a debt collector after a certain period of time. Because that'd be like, why are you going to do that? It's like having to start over all over again. I'm negotiating this with you, and I want to pay these payments with you. Will this just continue going as long as I keep up with my end of the bargain? So get that in writing up front, because for some reason I've seen that happen where they might let you pay for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, and then all of a sudden they shift it over to a debt collector. I don't know if that's something that they have internally where they have to do that with accounts, I'm not sure. I haven't really gotten a definite answer on that. But that would be the next phase that you would go to. If everything checks out, you negotiate on the amount. No matter what, you always want to negotiate on the amount with the debt collector because, I mean, with a medical debt, because they're used to going down for the services that they're rendering, especially if it's a private practice. They're used to going down. The insurances will only pay a certain amount, and even if they're getting insurance from the federal government that's paying, they will only pay a certain amount. So you have that right to also negotiate with them to pay a certain amount for the services that are rendered. All right, I hope that that helped you out, and I hope everybody is staying safe. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, where I explain my 8-point validation process. Sorry about that interruption, where I explain my 8-point validation process, my phase 2 settlement process to help you repair your credit and get out of debt. If you need the debt validation letter or my cease and desist collection activities letter or statute of limitations letter, the links to those are below here. And that even goes for medical debt. Check your statute of limitations for your area. If they are coming after you, it may be past the legal statute of limitations for them to be able to collect. And also on your credit reports, they cannot disclose your medical history on the credit reports, and sometimes they can accidentally do that by the procedures that you have gotten service for. So that information must be off your credit reports, but that does not make the debt go away. So thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of the CreditRepairShop.com.